Does this reconciliation bill address their needs? Does it raise the minimum wage to a living wage? Or do we continue to allow so many workers to try to get by on 10, 12, 13 bucks an hour? Does this bill make it easier for workers who want to join a union to be able to do so, or they continue to be attacked by their employers, making it hard to form a union? No.
There are new tax breaks that could provide seniors with a little bit of financial help this year, as the cost of owning and renting a home increases. Lawmakers are passing new relief plans, and eligible seniors and retirees can qualify for nearly $2,000. Retirement should be a time of relaxation and travel, an opportunity to do all the things you want to do. But retirement takes money. And according to a recent study, the average senior has around $290,000 saved for retirement. Add in $21,000 per year in Social Security, and you don't have a ton of money left. One way to stretch limited funds is to reallocate to an area that gives tax breaks to senior citizens. Retirement income consists of pensions, 401ks, Social Securities, and annuities. Each of these forms is taxed differently, and some, depending on the state, are not taxed at all. 8 states like Alaska and Florida, South Dakota and Tennessee, Texas, and even Washington and Wyoming have no personal income tax. It includes pension income, military benefits. That said, some states have higher taxes in other areas to compensate for the lack of personal income tax. So, while Texas is not only high property taxes, but a hefty sales and use tax. New Hampshire doesn't tax personal income, but it doesn't have a 4% tax on dividends and interest, with a total gross from all sources of $2,400 for individuals. The tax is said to be phased out by 2007 and 2027, so if you're looking to retire in New Hampshire, you may want to consider putting it off for a few years. A pension is defined as a retirement income in which your employer promises you a regular payment from the day you retire, for as long as you live. While pensions are becoming rare, those that are lucky enough to have one will find that 6 states, Alabama, Illinois, and even Iowa and Hawaii, exclude pension income from state taxes. Even Governor Phil Murphy and the state's top Democratic leaders have announced a deal on property tax relief for senior citizens. Residents making up to $500,000 a year will be eligible for this. Senior homeowners can see up to $1,700 into relief, and renters will get $700 a year as well. And due to high prices, steep interest rates, and low inventory, homeownership has become a distant possibility for millions of Americans. According to the National Association of Home Builders, 65 million households in the United States are unable to build and afford a home of $250,000. It's bad news when considering that, according to the Federal Reserve, the average home sales price is $416,000. But with the bad news, there's some good news too. There are several federal income tax breaks that could make the cost of owning a home more affordable. You can deduct home property taxes, and up to a certain point. The IRS states that deductible personal property taxes are those based on the value of personal property. The tax must be charged to you on a yearly basis, even if it's collected more than once a year or less than once a year. You have to cap deductions at $10,000. Mortgage rates are through the roof, but this can actually be beneficial when filing your taxes because you can deduct the mortgage interest rate up to $1 million. The trick is you have to make itemized deductions as opposed to taking a standard deduction. More money is being available to the low income, but you may have to take action in order to receive this. Eligible residents will be able to claim new tax credits and rebate checks. Qualifying Colorado seniors and relatives can make up to a tax rebate for the property tax, rent rebates, and heating bills. The property tax, rent, and heat rebate are administered by the Colorado Department of Revenue. It can rebate up to $1,000 per year. To qualify for the rebate, an individual must be a full-year resident who is 65 years or older, or a surviving spouse 58 years or older. The rebate amount is based on the applicant's income and expenses. People in Alabama will also have to wait a few more months to receive special tax rebate payments. We have bad news. This year's big COLA increase in Social Security monthly benefits is falling short for the millions of people that are relying on these payments. And that's because for the past 2 months, the biggest increase in Social Security benefits has been for decades been delivering much needed breathing room. Much needed breathing room for the past couple of months for the seniors, because nearly all of the survey respondents of a Social Security poll say that they don't think this year's sizable bump will give them a chance to get their feet on the ground again and catch up. So that's not good. Furthermore, they worry that the increased income could result in huge tax bills. This year's beefed up COLA, which boosted the average retiree benefit by more than $140 a month, will push retirees over the edge, over the income thresholds which are not indexed for inflation. Plus, plus, thus requiring them to pay more taxes on part of their Social Security benefit. Many who had not paid taxes on their benefits in the past are going to have to go through this. With that being said, a Social Security policy analyst has told Yahoo Finance that even as inflation moderates, it will be more difficult for lower and modest income seniors and those who have been retired to dig out of the shortfall between what Social Security beneficiaries received over the past 2 years. And this effect of actual inflation is going to not be good, because according to the SSA, nearly 9 out of 10 people aged 65 and older receive Social Security benefits. Among the elderly Social Security beneficiaries, 12% of men and 15% of women are on Social Security for 90% of their income. For the typical retiree, it covers about half the retirement income. Seniors overall have been feeling the gap for months now. Last fall, nearly 2 out of 5 of the 1,500 retirees had this problem. The Senior Citizens League reported that their standard of living had worsened since March 2020, and they had depleted savings faster than planned. Roughly the same percentage that they had no savings and had piled on debt and had tackled low-income assistance programs. So when the Social Security Administration, the federal government agency that oversees the benefit, announced the increase for this year, the largest since 1980, when the COLA was 11%, there was a resounding echo of applause, and that's because it raised the average type benefit by more than $140 a month. Even the adjustment, coupled with a decrease in Medicare Part B premiums, was expected to make a significant difference in making ends meet for more than 70 million senior citizens. The expansion would be financed by consolidating other tax benefits, including a significant revamp of the Earned Income Tax Credit. The Center on Budget and Policy Priorities estimates the number of children living in poverty would decline by 1 million under the Romney proposal, and the roughly 20 million children families making less than $50,000 would be better off by this. Analysts have also argued that roughly 10 million people will be worse off under the Romney plan, due in part to proposed cuts. So, hopefully President Biden can do something about this. We got some bad news. Some really big changes are actually coming to monthly benefits soon. Officials have always confirmed that millions of Americans are at risk of losing health insurance in just a few weeks, and very important details have been announced. So be sure to keep watching, because we got a ton of information about the fourth stimulus check, Social Security benefits, SSI, and SSDI. You definitely don't want to miss out on this, because there's a ton of information that we got. So, like I said, the Biden administration is telling healthcare providers to begin preparing for an end to the public crisis emergency. The change will have broad implications for Medicaid health insurance recipients, and it could significantly impact how hospitals and pharmaceuticals operate. The health secretary told reporters on a call that how the United States manages this crisis will provide crucial data on whether the emergency needs to remain in place. The Health and Human Services Department will give the public 60 days notice before lifting the crisis emergency. His comments come after President Biden claimed in September that the crisis is over. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services told healthcare providers in August to start preparing for a return to pre-crisis rules as soon as possible.